Hi, everybody. I'm glad you could make it here today. Woo, yeah. Well, we have a special mission today, and that is to do some math. Yeah. Let's open our books to page 185. Get your math books, 185. We'll do stuff on the screen, but you're also going to be writing in your book at the same time. So, page 185 in your math book. All right. Well, here we go. Woo! Hi, everybody, and it's time for math. We are on lesson 2 of chapter 3, so it's 3.2, and we're going to learn how to estimate products. Products, I'm sure you know, means the answer to a multiplication problem, so we're going to learn how to estimate them. So when you have difficult numbers, you can see if you're close. So let's look at the real world link that we have here. It says the record for the greatest distance traveled on a skateboard in 24 hours was set in a recent year by James Peters. He traveled about 7.6 miles per hour. So here's the main thing we're going to learn today, which is how do you round decimal numbers up or down? How do you know whether this should become a 7 or an 8? Well, we're going to put it on this line, and 7.6 is above 7.5, so it probably goes somewhere around here. So if this is 7.6. So now that we know that it's more than 7.5, it will go up to 8. So it will become closest to 8. If it was exactly 7.5, if it's exactly 7.5, it also goes to 8. So if it's something that's ending in 0.5, it goes 8. If it's ending in 0.4, and then it goes down. So if I had to estimate in 24 hours, if it goes about 8 miles an hour, it would be 8 times 24. And so you just do 24 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 3 is 19. So you should have 192 miles. Get it? So now is your estimate higher or lower than the actual distance? So to find the actual distance, right? So we estimated it at 192. But now the actual distance we got to do 7, I'll do it up here, 7.6 times 24. And we do 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 7 is 28, 29, 30. And then this 2 is really a 20, so that's why we put a 0 there. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. We have 4, 2, 8, 1. And if you remember, when you're multiplying, remember we did adding and subtracting decimals, you line up the decimals. When you multiply it, you don't have to line them up, but you have to count how many are in the problem. There's 1 decimal place in the problem, so there's 1 decimal place in the answer. So our answer would be 182.4. The real answer is 182.4. We estimated 192. Oops, sorry, there's a decimal there. 192. So our answer, our estimate was higher. And that's because we moved 7.6 up to 8. So that's why it's higher. Okay, so now let's go to page 186. Page 186. Okay, so now let's look at some examples here. Here they give us 8.7, right? And so it's 8.7 times 2.8, and so 8.7 becomes a 9, 2.8 becomes a 3, 9 times 3 is 27. So we know that the product is about 27. Now let's look at number 2 with bigger numbers. We're going to round these, so it could round 42.6 to be 43, but we're going to round them to the nearest 10. So 42.6 would become 40. And so 37.2 would round up to also 40. So let's see. So 42.6 is 40. And then this is also 40. You see why? So because 37 rounds up to 40, 42.6 rounds down to 40. So now we do 40 times 40, which we can do really easy because remember, when something ends with 0, we can just put that 0 there. We do 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 4 is 16. So our answer should be around 1600. So what I want you guys to do now is we're going to do A, B, and C. So we're going to round these to the nearest. For A and B, we're going to round it to the nearest whole number. So you're not going to give me the exact answer. You're going to round it first. So you're going to round 9.6. You're going to round this to be, I'll give you a hint, that's going to be probably 10. 1.8 is probably going to be 2. So why don't you guys try A? Ready, go. All right, so you should have rounded. 9.6 becomes a 10, it rounds up to 10, and 1.8 rounds up to become 2. 10 times 2 is 20. Cool. Now you try B. Ready, go. All right, so these you should also round, these are going to round down. So 4.2 is just going to become 4 times 3.1 will just be 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So for the letter C, which I want you to do, you're going to round it to the nearest 10, okay? So you're not going to round this to be 68. You're going to round it down till it's either a 60 or a 50 or a 40 or 70 or whatever. So why don't you try letter C, ready, go. Okay, so 68.4, this should round to become 70, right? It rounds up to 70 times 21.3, it would be round down to 20. 70 times 20, well, I know 7 times 2 is 14. And then there's a 0 here and a 0 here. So I just put them right here and you should have 1,400. Okay, so now let's go to the next page, page 187. Let's go to 187. And let's look at example number 4, because here we have a mix of single digit and multiple digit numbers. So it says, suppose $1 is equal to 5.8 Egyptian pounds. About how many Egyptian pounds would you receive for $48.50? So first we're going to round 5.8, and that will round up to 9. Oops, I gotta put on my drawing. It'll round up to 9. I mean, what am I saying? To 6. Sorry. It will become 5.8 rounds up to 6. And then 48.50, we're going to round this to the nearest 10. So it's true that 48.5 would go up to 49, but we're going to round it to the nearest 10, which is 50. So now it's a lot easier to just do 50 times 6, which is going to be pretty easy. We know that 6 times 5 is 30, so the whole thing will be 300, right? So 48.50 is equal to about 300 Egyptian pounds. Awesome. So now you guys are going to try some of these on your own, D, E, and F. So let's look at some of these word problems. It says Earth is rotating around the sun at about 18.6 miles per second. But how many miles does it travel in 4.8 seconds? So you're going to have to round these. You're going to round that to the nearest, the bigger number to the nearest 10, and round this to the nearest 1. Ready, go. All right, so what you should have is 18.6 should round up to 20, and 4.8 should round up to 5. So 20 times 5 is 100, so it is about 100 miles it'll travel in 4.8 seconds. That's pretty good. All right, so now let's try letter E. The average walking speed of a person is 4.8. Hey, look, there's 4.8 in both problems. 4.8 kilometers per hour. Estimate the number of kilometers per hour you could walk in 3 hours. Okay, let's see if you can figure that out. Ready, go. All right, cool. So this is an easy one. 4.8 rounds up to 5, and 3, we don't have to do anything. So really, it's just 5 times 3 is 15. Of course, it would be 15 kilometers. Now, these are all approximations. They're about. So you could write the word about. Sometimes you'll see these wavy equal sign. A wavy equal sign, that means it's not exact. It means it's about. Approximation. Okay, now let's look at number F. A king palm can grow about 2.1 feet a year. Estimate the height of a king palm in yards after 15 years. Now notice something. They're telling you 2.1 feet, but you have to put your answer in yards. Remember, there are 3 feet is 1 yard. So whatever answer you get, you're going to have to divide it by 3. Okay, ready, go. All right, so you should have that 2.1 rounds to just 2 in 15 years. 2 times 15 is 30. So it grows 30 feet, right? So it'll grow 30 feet in 15 years, but they want it in yards. So that now you have to divide that, the 30 divided by 3, which would be 10. So this is about 10 yards, Y-A-R-D-S. That's really important. I hope that you got that, my friends. I really do. Okay, let's clear this. Go to the next page. All right. Oh, look, we're almost done. Let's do the guided practice on page 188. We're almost done with this. Guided practice on 188. And you try them all. So why don't you do number 1? Ready, go. All right, so for number 1, you should have figured out that really this becomes 6 times 4, which equals 24. And again, it is a wavy line because this is approximate. So it's about 24. Okay, you try number 2. Ready, go. All right, so number 2, you should have rounded this one up to 14. And that becomes 3. And 14 times 3 is 42. Okay, you try number 3. Ready, go. Awesome. 94.89 rounds down to 90 times 3.11 becomes just 3. And so 90 times 3, well, I know 9 times 3 is 27. So 90 times 3 must be 270. This is so easy, isn't it? All right, let's try number 4. A grocery store sells American cheese for $3.89 a pound. About how much would 1.89 pounds of cheese cost? So the actual problem is 3.89 times 1.89. Well, let's estimate. 3.89 becomes 4, right? And 1.89 becomes 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. So this would be about $8. And let's do the very last one. Greg has 52 megabytes left on his MP3 player. He wants to download 7 songs that each use 7.9 megabytes of memory. He estimates that he will need 56 megabytes of memory. Is his estimate reasonable? Okay, so he thinks the answer will be 56 megabytes. So let's see. 7 songs times that are 7.9 megabytes each. So what would we, oh, sorry, you do it yourself. Ready, go. Okay, so it's going to be 7 for the 7 songs. 7.9 megabytes will become 8. 7 times 8 is 56, and he said 56, so the answer is yes, it is reasonable because 7 times 8 equals 56. All right, you guys did pretty good on this. I think that we should be done. We will do in class, we're going to do the independent practice tomorrow in class. So you've done enough for today. Have a lovely day. Hasta mañana.